for this whiskey.
And this wine.
So that it may drunken and fatten our bodies.
And bring the closer to Moloch? Moloch? Who do we worship? I
Moloch.
forget. Moloch. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Moloch.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to Family Home Evening.
With Bad Mormons.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Mandy.
We're a couple sisters who are really, really good at being... Wait, no. Bad at being Mormons.
You messed it up already.
Cheers.
Ooh, whiskey.
It's so warm in my tummy. Can you guess which whiskey it is?
Well...
We have about, 13 bottles of whiskey in there.
I was going to say, out of the 75 bottles that we have in there that I can't see.
I like to play this game of, here, blindly taste this whiskey and tell me which one it is.
I'm going to guess it's Eagle Rare.
I thought about it, because when I saw it, I was like, Where Eagles May Dare, which is a movie Craig keeps making us watch, with Clint Eastwood and, I can't remember the other guy's name, but it doesn't matter. It's Japanese.
Oh, then it must be... I think I only have Suntory.
Yeah, I think that was it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I only saw the one. And then as I was pouring it, I was like, I wonder if they've ever made a tequila. By they, I mean the Japanese people.
Of course they have, yes.
Yeah, is it good?
We should branch out. I don't know. I don't think I've ever tried Japanese tequila.
Well, on next week's episode, we'll be trying some Japanese tequila.
But I do love Japanese whiskey, so thank you for that special treat.
You're welcome.
And
all right,
I want to take a minute and welcome you, Charlotte, to the 69th episode of our podcast. We did it.
Oh my God. Do we stop after this?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
You just say 69, dude. And then play out the outro music and then we're done.
If you're really me, Mandy, what number are you thinking of? 69, bro! Yes.
So good.
So good. Well, we got to make this an extra special episode then.
Dude, I feel like it's already an extra special episode because I woke up yesterday and so many great things were in the news and so many fun things to talk about. And we have a new patron.
Oh, yay, new patron!
And it's a great day. Let's welcome our new patron, Riley.
Hey, Riley, cheers.
Thank you so much. And
thanks for joining our inner circle. I'm so excited.
Welcome to the Celestial Kingdom.
Jesus and I love you.
We're going to do right by you. We actually, we just got back from a little trip where we were visiting some peeps out in Hawaii. Oh, also, let's quickly just do a quick shout out to Leslie on Oahu, who is a faithful listener of our podcast.
Yes.
And we didn't get the chance to see her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we love you, Leslie. And also Cameron on Maui.
Oh, yeah.
Is another one who is a big fan, and we weren't able to connect. So cheers to you guys. Thanks for listening to the show.
And, of course, Hillary and Carrie.
Oh, yes, of course. Cheers, everybody.
So cheers, all you guys. And, of course, our regular patrons, which have been with us forever. And you guys fucking rule, too.
Thank you so much. We have been a little lax on the Patreon content as of late, but...
Oh, but we've got something for you.
We do have
something we'll probably repent for later, but...
I haven't listened to it yet, but I do remember it being a real shit show. And we tried to record a little something for you guys when we were out with our friends on Oahu. And there was some great content. We had a lot of laughs and a lot of shit show drunkenness.
A lot of slurring.
So...
And it didn't really end, so for our patrons, you'll get to listen to that. I'm guessing, I'm not in its entirety, or should we edit it to try and save them some embarrassment?
So that by them, you mean us? Yes.
Yeah. Well, save their ears, the torture of just going,
oh, I see.
No. I have a question. I love you, April.
I'll listen to it first, and then we'll post it. But I promise you, patrons, you're going to get a really good, funny, hilarious time.
Good.
And I know you mentioned it already, our patrons who've been with us from the beginning and our listeners who've been with us from the beginning. But I also just wanted to take a minute and give an extra thank you because there was quite a big chunk of time there when my software changed that we used to edit the podcast, and y'all could only hear it in one ear for like many episodes. And I kept thinking I fixed it, and I didn't fix it. It's fixed now. But there was a little chunk there in the middle where you guys stuck with us anyway, even though I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
You know what would be kind of funny is if instead of only hearing like one ear, if you could only hear one of us talking to silence.
And then you realize you're in a straitjacket.
Yeah, like, I don't even have any family members.
Yes, I love it. Write that down. That's a good idea for a movie. So, yes, thank you all. Thank you so much for listening. We're feeling super grateful and appreciative of all of you guys. We're kind of realizing that this podcast is
more than just our backyard.
Yeah, and it's carrying off into the world, and it's doing its own thing, and we don't even have to help it along anymore. So we're really grateful to you guys for listening. So thank you so much.
So cheers to you guys.
Yeah. Ooh, now what are we drinking?
Now we're drinking Predator.
Oh, yeah. The Old Vine Zinfandel.
It's a good smoky deliciousness.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I have a treat for you.
Okay.
We've been dabbling in some of our Mormon stuff from our listeners that send us in books and things like that. We've read a lot from the book called Woman.
My favorite.
Written by 15 old men, white men. We've read a lot from the Mormon Trail Cookbook, which has been fun. And we've been trying to read from the Miracle of Forgiveness, but it is really dry.
It's so dry.
We tried on not our last episode, but the one before that was a real episode. We really tried to dig in there, and it was just so boring that we couldn't really give you guys a lot of great content. So what I've done is I've gone onto the internet and asked Google, what's the worst part about this book, to see if Google would just tell me so I could save myself the trouble of reading it. And what Uncle Google told me was to go to page 25.
Okay, perfect.
Of The Miracle of Forgiveness, written by Spencer W. Kimball. And
so for people who are not part of the church, he's a
prophet.
He's a prophet. Okay.
Used to be a prophet. He's dead now.
Okay.
This was like 2 prophets ago.
Got it.
He was the prophet when I was a little kid that we would fold our arms and pray to. Yeah.
Okay,
got it. Please bless President Kimball. Yes, we did that. So the internet said, it'll just lay it out for you, everything that's bad about this book. And sure as shit it does.
Oh, fabulous.
So, thank you, internet. And I would like to read to you it carefully lays out every sin. It's a very lengthy list of sins that will send us to hell. And it quotes a bunch of scriptures before then, most of which are pretty boring and annoying, but there were a couple that I thought were funny, I guess. It says, there are a few more types of sin that are mentioned in Paul's words from Corinthians. Neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards.
Oh, there it is.
Nor revelers, revilers, nor executioners shall inherit the kingdom of God. So we're fucked, basically.
What's an executioner? I mean, like...
I don't know.
Talking about, like, old-timey executioners, or...
They also talk about murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and liars. And they're all going to burn in fire and brimstone.
Yeah, typical. Mormons are no fun.
Anyway, so in this prophet of the Mormon Church, in his own words, here is the list of sins as conveniently laid out by the internet on page 25. Murder, adultery, theft, cursing, unholiness in masters. What is
Baiters?
that mean? No, just masters. Maybe slaves to their masters.
Okay.
Disobedience in servants.
There you go.
Unfaithfulness, improvidence, hatred of God, disobedience to husbands.
Oh, shit.
Lack of natural affection.
What if one never gets married?
Well, there's more.
Am I safe?
There's more, because I'm pretty sure you've done one of these other things. High-mindedness, flattery, lustfulness, infidelity, indiscretion, backbiting.
That's for the homosexuals.
Yes. Whispering.
We're not allowed to whisper.
We're not allowed to fucking whisper. Lack of truth, striking, brawling, quarrelsomeness, unthankfulness, inhospitality, deceitfulness, irreverence, boasting, arrogance, pride, double-tongued talk.
Well, I mean, if I haven't been doing it, I want to start.
Profanity. Slander, corruptness, thievery. Ooh, yeah, we've already admitted to that.
Sorry, Long's drugs.
Embezzlement, despoiling, covenant breaking, incontinence.
If I shit myself, I have to go to hell?
Filthiness.
That's not fair.
In nobleness.
To be fair, there was cocaine involved.
Filthy communications. Impurity, foolishness, slothfulness, impatience, lack of understanding, unmercifulness, idolatry, blasphemy, denial of the Holy Ghost, Sabbath breaking, envy, jealousy, malice, maligning, vengefulness, implacability, bitterness, clamor, spite, defiling, reviling, evil speaking, provoking, greediness for filthy lucre, Lucre, I don't know that word. Disobedience to parents, anger, hate, covetousness, bearing false witness, inventing evil things, fleshliness. I think I just found the name for this episode.
Fleshliness.
Fleshliness.
Andy does like to show that cleavage.
Sure do. Heresy, presumptuousness, abomination, insatiable appetite, instability, ignorance, self-will, speaking evil of dignitaries is on the list.
Is it because we talked about the guy who wrote this book?
Here's another one. Becoming a stumbling block. And in our modern language, masturbation, petting, fornication, adultery, homosexuality, and every sex perversion, every hidden and secret sin, and all unholy and impure practices.
AKA anything other than missionary style with one man, one woman. Doesn't matter how old she is.
No, doesn't
Totes
matter.
fine.
Yeah. So that was a lot.
Can we burn that book?
They don't make this anymore because it's even, for modern day Mormons, it's frowned upon because even the guy who wrote it himself was quoted as saying maybe it was too strong. So this book is not it's not acceptable anymore. It's one of those things like...
Then we clearly need to keep it.
Yeah. It's one of those things like being black.
You're not... Like, it used to be bad.
But now it's okay.
Right. Whereas that used to be okay, and now it's bad. Kind of like we're not allowed to say Mormon anymore. We're LDS.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, speaking of... I went ahead and purchased the Mormon A Major Victory for Satan candle from our friends at exmocandles.com. So I'm really excited to share that with you. But I have another possibly more fun way to basically get the cliff notes and summarize the miracle of forgiveness. I went on to Amazon and I was like, can you buy this book? And it turns out there's one copy left on Amazon.
What's it going for?
If anybody wants to run out there and buy it. $14.99 paperback.
That's not terrible.
I thought it might be funnier to read the reviews
of
the book from real Amazon customers. Like Kevin M. Orth, who gives it 1 star. He says, ugly, twisted, and wrong. Homosexuality is an ugly sin, repugnant to those who find no temptation in it, as well as many past offenders who are seeking a way out of its clutches. It is embarrassing and unpleasant as a subject for discussion, because of its prevalence, the need to warn the uninitiated and the desire to help those who may be involved with it is discussed. Oh, then he said he's quoting the book.
Got it.
I was like, wait a minute, I was like,
that doesn't make any sense.
Then he says, that's page 78, in case you're wondering. He says, yeah, to say the author has ugly, repugnant fantasies about love, and love is putting it mildly, it's really sad that he has such perverted ideas about love, that he would think this in any way, under any circumstances, is reasonable. Even worse, he says this in Jesus' name.
Yup.
Here's another one from Ian. Book sucks. It is more important to the author to make the reader feel bad than it is about teaching about Jesus Christ and what he did during his life here on earth. Honestly, not worth the time I spent reading it.
Someone actually read it?
Ian did. Here's another one. This book made to guilt trip and reinforce negative beliefs about sexuality. Would not recommend to anyone.
Fair, yep.
Auto Mafia Racing says, 1 star, makes you want to kill yourself. 1 star, would not buy again. Made me feel suicidal. Oh, yeah, well.
Don't read this book, especially if you're going to take it seriously.
Right. No biblical book should be titled How to Earn Forgiveness by Following Rules. Preach on, right. Gene. Leo Ute Ally says, horrible book. This is all in caps. Lots of shame and hate. Don't waste your time. God made us sexual beings. Enjoy your sexuality and be you. You don't need forgiveness for the way God made you.
True that.
This book is harmful to everyone who reads it, damaging and dangerous, hate mongering. Anyways, you can see the list goes on and on.
How many overall stars does it have?
It actually has overall like 4 stars.
Ew.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. Great for racists. Bad for Christians. What a pile of rubbish. Anyway, so now we don't have to read the book anymore. But if I have some downtime where I really don't have anything else to do, I'll try to see if I can Google some more stuff to read out of it. Because I'm not reading that shit.
No, I don't waste your time. But I feel like, yeah, those reviews were lovely. And now I want to go on and give it a review on Amazon. Because I can.
Yeah, as Bad Mormons.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll work on that.
Fabulous.
If you guys have any ideas about what we should include in our review, or if you'd like to leave your own review,
go ahead on over to Amazon, leave the review for The Miracle of Forgiveness, send it, screenshot it, and then send it over to us either by email, Facebook, Instagram messaging, Twitter.
Whatevs. We got it all.
Send it on your own Twitter and tag us in it.
Yeah, we would love to see that shit.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's Mormon Corner.
It's good times. Good times.
Is it?
No, it's not. I was saying that rhetorically.
Bad times.
Bad times.
It's gross.
I'm so glad that I talked to a bunch of new clients today that were like, "Oh, you're Mormon?" I'm like, "Well, Jack Mormon." Like, my mom was Wiccan growing up, so by the time she went back to the church, it was too late for me. But yeah, I'm trying to explain to him, like, my client, her mom had 10 kids with her husband, and her stepdad, who she ended up marrying, had 11 kids. So they had 21 children.
Jesus fuck.
And then they had 2 more on their own. Could you imagine birthing out 13 kids?
Fuck
But anyway,
no.
she was Roman Catholic, and so we were just talking about like religion, and like it's always kind of weird to talk to someone you don't know about religion, especially in a at work, and but it was kind of great because I was like, I'm not a person who likes religion in generally, like more organized religion. I'm fine with being spiritual. Whatever energy you put out there is the energy you get back. So I'm all about that. But I just don't believe in organized religion. She's like, oh, me neither. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we kind of talked about that a little bit. And yeah, it was just that Mormon. We talked about cults. And I'm like, well, you're not allowed to call them Mormons anymore. They're just LDS because they don't. It's a what do you call it?
Major victory for Satan.
Yeah, major victory for Satan. And yeah, you don't get your own planet anymore. They're just stripping your rights away left and right, Mormons.
Next thing you know, your tithing's going to be 11%.
Right. I'm surprised they haven't upped it to 20 yet.
Jesus.
But anyway, so yay with Mormons.
There's so much cool shit on the internet right now. I don't even know where to start.
Well, I have something to repent for.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over that. I'm so excited.
The internet, specifically Facebook, reminded me today that 11 years ago on this day, I went to a Tom Petty concert.
Ooh, the Tom Petty concert from the last episode we did?
Was it the last episode?
Yes, it was.
Oh, yeah, potentially. So yeah, I thought it was weird there was no pictures posted, there was no follow-up, just said Tom Petty tonight, and then I remembered, oh, that's right, because I blacked out for it and had to go sleep in a car.
At
Never
least
got to
Facebook
go
remembers. At least someone remembers.
Thanks for reminding me, Facebook. So I repent for never getting to see Tom Petty, and I did see him for a second. I said, okay, I saw him, I gotta go to bed now.
Because you're a... What did they call you? Drunkard, disobedient, fool maker? Foolish.
It's fleshy.
Fleshiness. Fleshliness.
Oh, okay.
Fleshly.
I like fleshy. I'm just fleshy.
I got a lot of flesh, and I really like Tom Petty.
All right, cool shit. Because I'm excited about all of the stuff.
Yeah. Real quick plug for cool shit. I started listening to a podcast called Morbid.
Okay.
Which is another, I know everyone's always like, oh, another true crime podcast. Because there's so many. Because true crime fucking rules, first of all. But yeah, it has a very, a very My Favorite Murder vibe, just meaning like the camaraderie between the two of them. Right. You can tell they're like best friends, and it's just fun to listen to them. And the stories are good, and I really like it. Yeah, nice. Morbid. So shout out to those ladies, and check out their podcast if you like true crime and you're looking for something new. But the big news on the internet this week is our friend Alex Jones. Sorry, not our friend. Our mother's friend.
Alex Jones.
Just in case you don't know who Alex Jones is, let me just give you the rundown. Alex Jones is a very right-wing... I mean,
angry.
What's the word for the most extreme right-wing you could possibly be? Radio personality.
I don't know. Tea Party comes to mind, but that's not quite right.
Yeah, he's awful.
He came from the Tea Party, right? So when George W. Bush was president, and then these Tea Party people who were like super patriots came about. I believe he's like a ripoff of Rush Limbaugh, right?
Yeah. But he tries to be even more extreme and loud and hateful. And
this is what happens.
Misogynistic and all kinds of he's done all kinds of crazy shit. So he has this radio show. I don't know if he still has it. I'm sure he does. Called InfoWars, which our mother loves to listen to.
She has InfoWars toothpaste.
Mm-hmm. She buys the supplements. I think that was kind of how it started, or I don't know if it's a cross promotion thing.
It's a cross promotion thing.
Yeah, he sells like colloidal silver and
so it's like if we actually made the feminine hygiene products that we do commercials for, it's like that. Only he actually sells them.
Right.
So
he basically just says really outlandish, inflammatory, hateful, hurtful, misogynistic shit, and he encourages his listeners to do that as well and to like kind of propagate it. Right. He's a major conspiracy theorist and pushing all these conspiracy theories. And he actually, the scary thing was he had a YouTube channel. He's been banned from most social media and he keeps trying to resurface under different names, like not InfoWars but News Wars or whatever. And then immediately they realize it and they shut him down. But he had 2.4 million subscribers on YouTube.
Imagine,
dude, that's how many people are like listening to this guy and sharing it.
Our mother's one of them.
I know, it's fucking crazy. Anyway, so one of the more awful things that he did was he claimed that the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre.
Right.
And just in case you've forgotten what that is, it's a elementary school, so that's kids ages 5 to 10. 5-year-old kids in an elementary school in Connecticut in 2012. Somebody came in and murdered 20 kids and 6 adults, right?
So
shot them all with a fucking AK. Actually, I don't know what kind of gun it was, but shot the whole place up and then turned the gun on himself and died, right? And it was horrible. It was a huge tragedy. The whole world was like in shock about it.
Yeah, because it's fucking horrible.
Yeah. And so this motherfucker, Alex Jones, goes on his radio show saying that it's a hoax. He's saying that these people are crisis actors. He says that they're paid to fake that they're in mourning. Not just the families of the victims, of the children that were murdered, but also an FBI agent who responded to this, who was one of the first responders on the scene. He was claiming that they were all fake, saying things like, you could hear him saying, should I read the cue card, right before the tape started rolling, and then I don't know if he faked that somehow, or if he just said it and enough people were like, well, Alex Jones said it and he's on the internet, so it must be real. But that was a huge thing that was circulating around. Anyways, so these people, and he had an ex-cop that was like on his show as part of it, and this ex-cop went to the family's houses. He lived in Florida. He went to this one family's house more than 30 times to harass them about how they faked this whole thing.
Okay, let's put all reason and knowledge and just empathy,
human decency
aside, and let's pretend they were crisis actors, right? What still gives you the right to go harass somebody? Like what was he going to get out of that? Like, to get them to admit that they were faking it? Like, for what purpose that you can go out of your way 30 times to harass somebody? That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, his followers, Alex Jones's listeners, would call these families. These families were getting death threats, being harassed. They were subject to public ridicule. They were, and we all know, like, this isn't the majority of people. This is a minority.
This is a small group of fucking assholes.
But these little minorities of assholes are so loud.
Right?
And
no, it's true.
And they're so crazy that they get all this media attention, which is a problem. That's a story for another day. Anyways, so this goes on and on and on. So in 2018, 6 of these families and the FBI agent, who was the first responder, they filed a lawsuit for defamation because they're being terrorized, they're being ridiculed, they're being harassed, they're being attacked by these fucking rabid sociopath followers of Alex Jones. Sorry, Mom, but that's fucking
true.
crazy.
I mean, at least Mom didn't go harass people, but
that we know of.
Yeah, exactly.
I would hope she would not do that.
Would hope.
But who in their right mind could even listen to anything this guy has to say and not do
just
some crazy shit?
Or just be turned off. Like, also just the hatred alone makes me uncomfortable. Like, when I hear someone who spouts shit like that, I don't care if it's true or not. That energy just makes me want to throw up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, finally, so I'm reading through, basically, so the big news of the week is that this lawsuit from 2018 has gone through the motions, and Alex Jones has lost not one, not two, but 3 of those lawsuits. And I was kind of digging around. So they've basically just ordered that he's lost. They haven't decided how much restitution he's going to have to pay to the families yet.
Right.
So we're on the edge of our seats waiting for that fucking good news. But when I was digging around trying to figure out like the ins and outs of what made the judge decide to err in the family's favor, besides the fucking obvious fact, it was basically that Alex Jones just didn't comply with any of the court orders. So the judge ordered default judgments, meaning he didn't show up, right?
Right.
Because, and this is a quote from the judge, an escalating series of judicial admonishments, monetary penalties, and non-dispositive sanctions have all been ineffective at deterring the abuse. And this is caused by Jones's repeated unwillingness to turn over documents related to this case. So he's like, I have proof, right?
Right.
And so that led me down another little rabbit hole of the internet where it's like the gift that keeps on fucking giving. Alex Jones says he does go to the first trial, right? And he says that he has a form of psychosis that makes him believe these things, and that's why he said that stuff.
Oh my God.
I know. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
I never heard about that.
I did hear that he did say that no reasonable person would think that he was being serious.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Trump has used a lot. This is what Trump followers have used. Like, no, like Tucker Carlson, like, well, no reasonable person would think I was being serious.
Right.
It's like, no, people don't. Fucking assholes.
Right. Well, listen to this quote. I gotta read this whole thing from Alex Jones himself that he's saying to a judge. He says, I myself have almost had like a form of psychosis back in the past where I basically thought everything was staged, even though I've now learned a lot of times things aren't staged. So I think as a pundit, someone giving an opinion that, my opinions have been wrong, but they were never wrong consciously to hurt people. And then he goes on to say, it was the trauma, I'm quoting him again, the trauma of the media and corporations lying so much that caused him to distrust everything. Kind of like a child whose parents lied to them over and over again. This is what he's telling the judge why he's behaving like this.
Oh my God.
Then he also says, so long before these lawsuits, I said that in the past I thought everything was a conspiracy, and I would kind of get into that mass groupthink of the communities that were out there saying that. And now I see that it's more in the middle, so now that's where I stand. So it's just this like kind of blathering,
right?
I'm just a victim here. Even though he's the one like perpetrating the whole story, right. He's just like, I'm in that mass mind group think or whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah. So anyway, fucking cool shit. Thrilled to hear that Alex Jones has lost a third and will very likely continue to lose more lawsuits.
Perfect. And
be forced to pay back these families because he makes a lot of fucking money.
Right.
Off of doing this. All of them do.
Right.
Tucker Carlson.
Right.
Fucking Ben Shapiro. All these fucking assholes. I actually, just in case anyone forgot, I wanted to also mention Alex Jones's greatest hits. As I've documented them on Twitter. He said the 9/11 attacks were an inside job orchestrated by the U.S. government. He said the federal government carried out the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing.
Right.
He said the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing was a staged attack. And just to subvert a little bit, kind of on the same subject, let's not forget that Marjorie Taylor Greene also was mimicking and parroting Alex
100%.
Jones's statements. and she ran up to that kid that survived the Parkland shooting.
Yep.
She ran up to him and accused him. Her exact words were that he was trained like a dog to make scripted remarks about the shooting. She confronted him and called him a coward. This is a high school kid.
Right.
Called him a coward outside of the hearings.
God,
so
she's such a fucking cunt.
Fuck that bitch. Fuck Alex Jones.
Fuck all these fucking douchebags.
And I really hope that judge orders him to pay every cent that he's got and bankrupts him.
That would be rad.
And they should fucking charge her ass too.
They really should. They should all go down.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Luckily, last time she was elected, she didn't have an opponent, which is why she got elected.
Right.
She's got an opponent now.
Fabulous. Is that for next year, though? Like,
yeah.
we have to deal with her for another year, right?
Yeah. A gentleman named Marcus Flowers.
Oh, Marcus Flowers, I don't know who you are, but take my money.
Take all of it. We love you. Do good.
Right.
Anyways.
So fuck Alex Jones.
Fuck Alex
Jones. Just
Jones.
share on her Facebook. So this will come out on Monday, so you have to go back a few days. Our sister Tiffany shared with us a really amazing indie folk song where they take the words, and we've talked about on the podcast before, but they take the words that Alex Jones has said verbatim and made it into a folk song, and behind it it shows the clips of Alex Jones saying these things, so it almost looks as though he's singing it a little bit. It's amazing. I just shared it on our Facebook page and I fucking love it.
We should make sure to share that like once every month.
I think you're right.
Let's set a calendar reminder.
Perfect.
Let's send up an email to Bad Mormons Corporate and have them put that on the Outlook calendar.
No, I was going to try and just play it for people so they could hear it right now, but I didn't know if that would work.
I think we've actually tried to do that on the podcast before.
It doesn't
It
work.
doesn't translate.
Okay, sounds, because you kind of have to see the video too. Like, it's kind of funny, but like, if you can't see him saying that he thinks Hillary Clinton is a goblin or whatever
that eats
babies, that she smells like sulfur, like, it's hard. I think you actually need to see the video. So
yeah. Oh my god, that's so great. You know what else is cool out there on the Twitter, on the internets? So back when George Floyd was murdered by that cop in police custody, there was, I'm sure it's still fresh in everybody's memory, that big riot that ensued in Minneapolis. Right? We actually donated money to the I forget the name of the organization, but it was basically like a bunch of lawyers working pro bono, and they were collecting money to help legal fees for the people who were arrested. So we donated some money to that one back in the day. However, there was a lot of people. This was when the word Antifa started becoming real popular, and there were all these white dudes, cops, military dudes, walking around trying to cover their skin as much as possible so their skin color wouldn't be obvious, breaking shit, causing riots, shooting up the police station, and then yelling shit like Black Lives Matter to try to make it seem like Black Lives Matter protesters
were doing it, and then trying to also rally up the people who were doing it, like who were just peacefully protesting. Meanwhile, there's videos of them saying, "Dude, stop doing that. That's not what this is about."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That the dude with the umbrella and the gas mask that was later proved to be a cop.
So fucked.
Yeah. So the reason I bring it up now is because there is a new guy. Well, he's not new. So the guy, basically one of those guys that shot up the police station, he fired 23 rounds, I think, into the 3rd Precinct police station in Minneapolis and yelled "Justice for Floyd." He is a 24-year-old racist who is associated with the Proud Boys Boogaloo movement. His name's Ivan Harrison Hunter, and he was just charged for that for that crime. And the reason they caught him was because somebody had a video of him doing it. You couldn't see his skin color. You couldn't see any distinguishing features about him. But he was wearing one of those, like, douchebaggy skull gaiter things over his face. And he posted a lot of pictures of himself wearing that exact same gaiter and outfit on his Facebook page. And there was enough evidence using that connection that they could dig up enough evidence to figure out that it was him that had done it. So, yeah, 24-year-old racist white dude going down
what we've been
for that
saying
crime.
the whole time, which is infuriating because this 100% was happening, and the fact that we caught on to that and people were like, no, we can see this, like, this wasn't part of our group, this is a different group trying to make us look bad, and that the January 6th people are trying to say, oh, it's the Antifa people trying to make us look bad. It's like, no, like,
it's a bunch of white racists.
Right, turns out. Oh god, I just hate so many people.
Yeah.
sorry Spencer Kimball or whatever. I just have so much hate in my heart.
Yeah, well, I mean, fuck that shit. And you're right, it was obvious to all of us.
Right.
And we're screaming it from the rooftops, and now that it's being proven, and, you know, it takes a while for that shit to go through the court and go through the system.
Because you can't just randomly accuse people, that whole innocent
due process.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know what, even the people who don't believe it and who want to believe Antifa is, you know, Black Lives Matter protesters, they're not going to believe this even though the guy's been convicted and tried, because they just believe whatever they want to believe.
The whole shaman dude, the stupid QAnon dude from January 6th who needs to have his vegan or his organic meals because he's a fucking princess.
But what about them?
Just, like, all the people who are arrested for January 6th who are known QAnon people who are not anything to do with Black Lives Matter, Antifa, any of these things. But yet these people don't believe it, even though they're sitting in jail with all this evidence and pictures of them, you know, in the fucking Capitol building. Like, oh, God, I just wish people would stop being so stupid.
I don't understand how we got past Antifa being anything other than anti-fascist.
Exactly.
It's like, you guys remember the movie Indiana Jones when he fought the Nazis? The Nazis are bad.
Right.
Everybody knows
that. We all
that.
sided with Indiana Jones, who was anti-fascist.
Don't forget. Don't let Tucker Carlson cloud your memory. Indy!
Oh, shit. I love that argument.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. Anyway. I think we should take a break?
Yeah. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Are you one of the many progressive, independent, proud American women thinking, I love the Alamo, but I also need an abortion? Well, we are here to help. Here at Sacred Uterus of Holy Texas, we can help you understand the fetal heartbeat law and help guide you to the realization that those newly forming cells inside your body are actually a blessed and wonderful gift, and you are contractually obligated by way of insemination to offer your host body until the gestation process is complete. Sound confusing? Don't worry. We're here to help. We understand you may have questions, and we're here to help you navigate your way through the gestation and uterine and vaginal expansion or cesarean surgical process.
Yeah, I'm a mother of 4. I don't think having any more children will fit into our family financial plan. Am I allowed to have an abortion?
Yes, you are. As long as that pregnancy is terminated within the first 6 weeks of conception, you are eligible for an abortion. Now, since most pregnancies are not detected until 11 weeks and beyond, we recommend daily pregnancy testing throughout the portion of your life cycle where ovulation occurs.
I have real problems with rage and violence. I have no patience, and I'm worried I might not be a good choice to nurture a human being. Is there an exemption for me?
Now, while there is no exemption for psychological disorders, we do have many state-run care facilities and a subpar foster system, should your new human become a ward of the state.
This sounds expensive, and I work for minimum wage. Who will pay the cost associated with this new human?
That is a great question. Ultimately, the financial burden will fall on the taxpayers to find programs that will feed, house, clothe, and educate these new humans, albeit poorly. We here at Sacred Uterus, in partnership with Amazon LLC and Governor Greg Abbott, make it our mission to offer guilt, shame, and in some cases food stamps and other forms of assistance to ensure your newly created human will stay alive until such a time that they may enter the workforce, prison, or military service.
I'm a child and I was raped by a relative. Am I considered a host body?
Under Texas law, all biologically female bodies are considered host bodies, regardless of age or circumstance.
So I'm pregnant, and I'm eager to raise a child, but the embryo is attached to my fallopian tube instead of my uterine wall, and I'm going to bleed to death if this pregnancy isn't terminated. Am I a candidate for an abortion?
Oh, unfortunately, the law doesn't allow for any abortions after 6 weeks of cell division, regardless of medical emergency. But I do think in these situations it's important to understand that some people, such as yourself, are going to have to offer the ultimate sacrifice in order to comply with the law. We understand that offering your uterus to create a new human can cause anxiety and uncertainty, and we're available to help. Just visit our website at phebadmormons.com or give us a call at 1-202-224-5922. Thank you for choosing the state of Texas as your trusted medical authority. Any financial assistance provided will be subject to government scrutiny. Compensation for new human labor or service will be determined by Amazon LLC based on the bare minimum requirement by law. Humans may be placed in cages or other confinement until they can enter the workforce. Insemination need not be consensual to be binding. Early pregnancy testing is often inaccurate and the responsibility of the inseminated. There is no basement in the Alamo. Hey,
we're back.
Oh my god. I wonder what we just heard.
It might have been new.
If we can get our shit together.
Story time, yes?
Story time.
So Mandy and I just went to Hawaii. We had a really great time. We got to see a lot of Mandy's friends when she lived over there, and quite a few of our, listeners. I kind of felt a little like, I don't know, a little like, oh, wait, you listen to our podcast? Like, really? Like, it's not just like my mom. Well, actually, her mom wouldn't listen to this. But, like, my one friend from high school or whatever. But, like, it's just like, oh, my God, yeah. It's like, Charlotte, I feel like I already know you because, I hear your voice. And I'm like, oh, that fucking shit's weird. But even April, who was Mandy's old roommate, was just like, I kind of feel like I'm talking to like celebrities right now. I was like, you shut the fuck up right now. Like, that's just ridiculous. But she had so many solid questions for us. And like, I was like, dude, April, let's do a podcast tonight. Like, I love what you're asking. There are things Mandy and I don't think to talk about, but they're pretty relevant to, like, what questions do you guys have about Mormons that we might be able to answer? What about our childhood? Do you have questions that we didn't think to fill you in on?
Our origin story, if you
Yeah,
will.
totally. Because, I mean, not just, ooh, me, but it's like we grew up in some fucked up shit. Like, but so she asked us some really good questions. Like I said, we tried to record it, but we were pretty fucked up. So it's pretty good, but it's a little sloppy, so it's not good enough for an episode that we could do. Maybe we'll re-record it again with her later on a Zoom call, but we're going to be sharing that with our patrons because that's what you bitches pay for. But I figured it would be kind of fun. Mandy, you can tell your story from Hawaii, little snippets of Hawaii, and then I can tell everybody about the concert that we went to when we got back from Hawaii.
Oh, it's too soon.
Is it? No,
Well,
it's funny and it's
okay.
fresh.
I don't remember all of it, but okay.
Don't worry, I remember everything.
Well, my story is actually just a real short one, but it reminded me, it's really funny, and it reminded me of when I used to work at an establishment on the island of Oahu, and it's a grocery store, right? So we get a lot of, famous actors out there all the time.
Yeah, because they're shooting movies on Oahu because there's a big production out there, yeah.
Yeah, probably even more than I saw in San Francisco or anywhere else, because it's a small little island and there's, like, not that many stores that are familiar to them that they might want to go buy their natural and organic food from, right? So we get them in there all the time. I've met loosely, tons and tons of really cool people.
I got some supplements for.
Yeah, like Sam Jackson was a really memorable
awesome.
one. They filmed the Jurassic Park out there, so all those guys came out. I got to meet the guy from the original Jurassic Park.
Oh,
I can't remember his name, but he passed away shortly after that.
He was the old guy who created Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. I'm going to repent for that later.
But yeah, he showed up. He's showing you a picture, right?
Yeah, he's showing me a picture of him as the character of the Doctor in the original Jurassic Park.
Not the Doctor, he's just the creator, right?
Yeah, the creator of the park, sorry. With a picture of him as the character with the hat on. And he's like, I need this hat. I've got to go to this, like, meet and greet. And he looked exactly the same, except for he looked a little older, but he still had, and he had, like, dyed his hair like a fake brown color, but you could tell he was white hair for real.
Right.
And he's like, do you have any hats that look like this? And I was like, no, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, try this place or whatever. That was just like, did that just fucking happen? That was so surreal. Richard Attenborough?
That sounds correct. I'd put about $10 that you'd be right.
Okay. Anyway, so lots of famous people have come out, and it's been a lot of fun. And a lot of famous people who live out there and are in movies, too, like some of the Battlestar Galactica actors, Grace Park, the Lost people.
It is Richard Attenborough.
Is it Richard Attenborough? Okay.
The
Jorge
Pratt dude.
Garcia.
I can't remember his name now because I no longer want to bang him.
Oh, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, that's a...
Yeah. Anyways, I could go on and on. So it's
Jeff
not...
Goldblum. Did Jeff Goldblum
No.
Oh!
I haven't met Jeff Goldblum yet. It's on my list, and it's gonna happen.
I know where he lives. So.
I know. We'll make it happen one of these days. Anyway, so this story, in particular, it's, oh my God, it's Thanksgiving Day or the day before Thanksgiving, something like that. It's a major holiday. It's either the day before Thanksgiving or the day before Christmas.
Okay.
And the place that my store was located in was an old, like, mall type of building, and it was, everything out there is old anyway, but this is from like the 70s. It's really got that old 70s vibe, and it's a weird place for like grocery store to be. And the parking's shitty. There's a very narrow little, like, 2 cars can barely fit kind of driveway right in front of the entrance of our store,
right,
where you're driving around to like find your parking space in the structure. And these 2 big, gigantic, like 6-door SUVs roll up, and they just park right there, right in the middle of the drive, like the only way to get through the parking lot,
right in the middle of
just
it.
right there. And they don't, it's not like they're dropping somebody off. They park there and they stay there for the entirety of this experience. They might not have been 6 doors, but they were like huge SUVs, tinted windows,
like Hummers kind of bullshit.
Shit that you don't usually see around Oahu and Honolulu. And so out steps Mariah Carey and about an entourage of, I want to say, like 8 to 10 people, mostly gay boys.
Right.
And all of them just looking fabulous, of course.
Of course.
She's got her, big sunglasses on. She's wearing a shirt. The shirt she was wearing was on backwards, and I only know that because I had seen it on another celebrity in a magazine being worn correctly.
Right.
And it was like a deep V with like a crisscross string tying it together so you could still see major cleavage down to like the, 3 inches below your boobs.
But that's supposed to be in the back.
That's in the front. And then in the back, the deep V, the same thing with the crisscross strings holding it together, goes all the way down to the top of your butt crack. So she's got it on backwards, so it's like all the deep V goes all the way down to the pussy area. And that shirt was on backwards. Her titties look fabulous. Anyway. So she comes through the store and she's doing all these crazy photo ops. Like she'll pick up 2 melons, or no, she picked up 2 pineapples and held them right in front of her tits. And like everyone was taking pictures of her and she was just like posing, and just, it was
so
such
ridiculous.
a spectacle. And like the normal people that were there shopping and all the employees that were there working, everyone had just stopped in their tracks and was just watching her go around the produce department. And I imagine that's like that everywhere she goes because of the way she was behaving.
Right.
Like she was on a stage performing for everyone.
Realistically, no one really gives a shit about Mariah Carey. Not anymore. Like, this is in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if you act a certain kind of way, I'm going to pay attention to you.
Right? And sure as shit, like everybody just kind of stopped what they were doing. And at one point she comes back to where I'm working, which is kind of next to the produce department. And, I'm peeking my head out, too, to see what, like, all the commotion's about. You'll never fucking forget this till the day I die. She picks up a handful of rainbow shard off of the wet rack. She hoists it up into the air and she says, "I love rainbow shard." And she's got one hand below her at her waist, palm open as if she's posing for a picture. The other arm with the rainbow shard up above her head tilted back, tummy in, tits out, chin out. Everyone's snapping pictures and she just holds that pose for like a good 10 seconds. And I see all these pictures on her Instagram later because I have to go look.
Right.
But it was just the most ridiculous, surreal celebrity sighting I've ever encountered in my entire life. And I can't believe it's taken me this long to share it with the world.
Right? Well, and it makes me feel like now, I'm like, do we need to go do a photo shoot in the produce aisle?
In Hawaii, it would make perfect sense. Here, I don't know, it might achieve the desired result.
People would go, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I think that's all I really need.
We need a flagpole for our Bad Mormons flag, which is hanging behind us right now. We can just wave it around. I love the Bad Mormons podcast. We'd get arrested.
We'd 100% get arrested. They don't deal with that shit in Orange County unless you're a celebrity.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my Mariah Carey story.
That's pretty rad.
It was pretty good.
It's a good one.
We did a photo shoot with our friend Andrea at Costco because she came to visit a little while later. Oh, you were there too, didn't you? Weren't you all there at the same time?
She was with you when me and Craig came to visit.
Yeah, and we did a photo shoot in Costco where she held up the pineapples and did the Mariah Carey pineapple titty pose.
Fabulous.
I'll have to find that and we'll
Share
post it on the Bad Mormons.
Perfect. So yeah, no, that was a good trip, and so much fun. we ate a lot of delicious food, but we didn't really drink too much. So there's not a whole lot of like drunken, like embarrassing stories to tell. But when we did get back from Hawaii, there was a show at the Anaheim House of Blues for the band Bayside
And Hawthorne Heights.
And the Bomb Pops. So we get in there, and you have to show a vaccination card to get in, or a negative test. So cool, whatever. We get in there, we try to find a spot to see the show, and we are shoulder to shoulder with people. And I'm like, I don't give a shit if everybody in here tested negative. Like, shit slips through the cracks all the time. I'm not fucking comfortable.
Yeah. You see those people with fake vaccination
right
cards.
And like, I have to deal with the public face to face. Like, I don't want to get any of my people sick, right? So, and normally I don't really drink White Claw either, but if you wanted to get a proper cocktail, you had to wait in this fucking line that was out the door. And I'm like, or we could just get beer over at this side one that nobody even knows about, like a side little station. And so they had White Claw and beer, and I'm like, all right, White Claw it is. And then we decided, I was like, okay, so what are we going to do about this concert thing? Because I'm not going to go into a pit with a bunch of people, and there's just way too many people here. And so we're like, well, we can go up to the VIP, we can pay, upgrade. I'm like, let's do it. So we do. So we get our own personal table, we've got our own area, we're not being bombarded with anybody.
Right overlooking the stage.
Right overlooking the stage. It was amazing, and it was a really fun show, and now we've got a cocktail waitress who's just bringing us drinks. So me and Mandy had about 3 White Claws each, and they are not just the regular cans, these are the tall boy cans. 40 ounces.
That was a lot
maybe not 40, but it was a lot.
It was a lot of White Claw.
And Mandy's just having a fabulous time. And I'm having a good time too, but really this is Mandy's band. I enjoyed it, but yeah, she was having a great time. And then we're getting ready to leave, right? So Craig's our driver, so we don't have to worry about getting too drunk. And there's a VIP only bar that we could go to, and so we're like, okay, let's go to the bar just to check it out. One drink, and we'll go home. And then we run into this guy, and he seems nice enough, and he's just like, oh, hey ladies, how'd you enjoy the show? Like, so excited to like be here, and like, man, it's just nice to be around people again. Can I buy you guys a drink? And I'm like, shit, yeah, you can buy me a drink. Have a whiskey.
And he was cute.
Yeah, and he was not bad. He was not bad to look at, and he was charming, right?
And he liked Bayside.
So
ticking
perfect.
all the boxes for
Mandy
me.
was just like, hello, new fucking boyfriend. And so I ordered a whiskey, Mandy orders her Manhattan, and he starts telling us stories. And I didn't catch on to it right away because I'm not as savvy as Mandy is. But he starts talking about, he's like, yeah, no, my wife couldn't make it. We're like, oh, cool. Didn't think anything about that. And then proceeds to tell us about how, his heart's been broken in the past, right? He walked in on his girlfriend or fiance giving some dude a blowjob.
I already forgot about that part.
Walked in, mouthful of cock, like, devastated. Oh, that sucks, bro. Then I don't know, because I'm a little hazy on it, too, because I was not sober.
He was also saying he worked in the healthcare industry.
He said he was in the healthcare industry, and, like...
He was saying all the things to disarm
so, like, oh,
you.
hey, this is a nice guy. He's married, so I don't have to worry about him hitting on us. Oh, he's been he's a healthcare professional. He's been hurt in the past. And then proceeds to tell us, well, I was never, I used to use women. We're like, oh, well, that's no good. And he's like, but my heart was so broken over this blowjob thing. And we're like, okay, cool, whatever. And then proceeds to tell us that the way he used women is he could figure out, like, how freaky they were in bed or, like, what they were about based on certain questions. And, of course, we're like, well, what are these questions? We have to know. And it was like, you're in the desert, and there's a cube out in the distance. Like, there's a body of water in it. What's the body of water or whatever? Usually it's like a pool or whatever. Anyways, he asked a bunch of fucking questions. I'm not going to go over every single one of them because I don't remember them all. But based on that is, like, what's going on in your life? How freaky are you? Like,
something about your family. Like, he's basically trying to discern all these personality traits about you by asking these, like, psychological...
Right. In the pool, there's a... By the pool, there's a ladder. Where is it? Is it in the pool? Is it outside the pool? Blah, blah, blah. So based on where the pool is how close you are to your family. Like,
yeah, stuff like
kind
that.
of fucking bullshit. But I was drunk, so I was eating that shit up. I was like, oh my God, just because everything he said, I was like, you're right. I am an asshole. Like,
I am fabulous.
Yeah, I think very highly of myself. I'm fun, loving, and it's like, you could just get that from talking to me for 5 minutes, especially when I'm drunk, because I'm just like, woo! Anyways, and so we talk about this for a while, because I'm so interested. I was like, hey, tell me what the questions are, tell me what they mean, and then, I want to know because I want to be able to do it to other people, kind of a thing. And so then he has the questions about Mandy, and Mandy's questions were similar to mine, but slightly different. And then he's sitting there like, oh, your cousin's a freak. And I'm like, she's my sister, bro. Like, I'm pretty sure he wanted to bang both of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, she's my sister, and she might be a freak. I mean, I don't fucking know. But it was just... It was a little weird, but then poor Craig has been sitting off because he's got, his foot hurts. He's off sitting off by himself, and I was like, I gotta go see what's up with Craig. So then I left you guys alone. So I don't know what happened in that time frame.
Oh, neither do I.
But you look like you were having a good time. I mean, we had 2 cocktails in the space of talking to him. So I had 2 whiskeys neats. You had 2 Manhattans or whatever, and so we were pretty fucked up. Mm-hmm. And then Craig's like, I want to go home. Like, can we go? And I'm like, yeah, Mandy. So we're like, Mandy, let's go or whatever. And so we waited for you outside. So I have no idea what you guys talked about.
Well, we came and sat on the couch across
for like
from
a minute. Yeah. And then we're like, well, we got to go. Because Craig was like, I don't know who this fucking guy is, but like.
And the house lights had come up.
Yeah, they're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But when we got in the car, you're like, fuck that guy. And I'm like, what, why? And you're like, dude, he was scamming us. And I was like, what? How? And she's like, that whole thing about his girlfriend giving him a blowjob, he said it 2 times. No self-respecting man would tell that story, let alone twice, unless he was trying to get something out of it. And he's like, and I was like, but the questions, they were rad. You're like, no, that's bullshit. I was like, but the mentalist. And I had can't believe I had the audacity to try to bring the mentalist up in proper conversation. And I was like, there might be bullshit, but there's like science behind it. It's like, no, there really isn't.
It's like the same thing a psychic would ask.
Well, so that was my thought, and that's what because this stupid show, The Mentals, I watched it all the way through, was that he would ask, he could decipher all this thing based on that kind of stuff, right? And he's not a psychic, but he pretended like he was one, and it worked for the fair or whatever. But I was like, so, I mean, there's something behind it that's somewhat accurate. But he's like, no, based on your reactions to the things you said, he fed off of. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm surprised at how drunk I was, that I had the foresight, the cognitive thought process to see through that bullshit. Because like I said, cute, tall, loves Bayside. Right. And that the whole conversation we were having was him trying to get me to not go to work the next day and go back to his hotel room across the street. Right. And I was like, I watch too much true crime. I don't fucking know you.
Right.
Also, I can see that this is all just a big, not well executed line. There's no amount of sincerity in it at all.
Right. And then on the ride home, Craig's like, dick pics or didn't happen. And you're like, oh, it's getting there. Because I guess he was texting you.
Yeah.
And
I woke up the next morning and I was like, delete. Delete.
Sorry, cute boy, you're stupid. But again,
you wouldn't have been trying so hard to like scam somebody. Yeah, you might have been cool.
Totally. Well, and also, like, you would say, like, aren't you married, bro? Like, I don't know what his response were to that.
I can't remember, honestly.
That's why you don't delete the text.
I started to look at it and I was embarrassed for myself, I think, more than anything for what I was saying.
So you're not going to want to retrieve those text messages and we can post them on the Bad Mormons?
No, I don't think I can retrieve them. It's
in a cloud somewhere.
Unless we reach out to him and say, hey, do you have the other side of those text messages? We did tell him about the podcast, so maybe he's listening.
Oh, well, don't... Listen, you're cute. If you're not married, well, if you are married, try not to bang people. It's gross. And
unless your wife's cool with it, then do whatever you want.
Whatever you guys have already pre-discussed is your business. But, don't try so hard, bro.
Yeah. That's your lesson, Internet. If you want to bang a girl, just be yourself.
Just be semi-good looking and really like the band that she likes. And then you can bang Mandy, too.
Get in line.
Let's think about how we can be better to one another. Let's be excellent to one another. Mm-hmm. Don't try to bang random drunk girls at the bar unless, I don't know.
You can try to bang random drunk girls at the bar all you want. Just don't try to be smarmy and slimy and sneaky and cheaty about it.
Right.
Just be normal.
Right.
Just be like, hey, you want to bang? I like you. I like this band.
And maybe try not to get them super blacked out drunk first, too,
No.
because that's another thing. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
don't buy me 2 drinks when I'm already drunk and then be like, now come back to my place.
Yeah. Don't listen to Alex Jones.
No.
Don't listen to any of those fucks.
If what you're thinking makes you angry and, like, hate another person, maybe think about what that is.
You're being played.
being fucking played. I mean, unless you're angry about being played, then that's okay. But, like,
You're not as smart as you think you are. All the people,
you're not that special.
The people that are eating this shit up are people who think that they're special, that think that they're so smart, that think that they're better than everybody and smarter than everybody else.
They're a part of something that they're smart enough to be a part, and you're too dumb to see through it.
And stop telling me that you've done your research.
Because you haven't.
Okay?
Yeah.
One Google article does not replace 4 years of virology at Harvard.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I've learned anything in my life from working in the industry that I work in, you can find a study to back up whatever you're trying to say and whatever you're trying to sell. Anybody can do it. That's why you get accredited. That's why you go through thousands of studies and you see where the majority of the information lies. You can't just base it on one fucking thing that one person said, because nobody is the end all and be all of information in the world. Not even you, Alex motherfucking Jones.
Yeah, eat a dick.
So go fuck yourself.
Big time.
Are we being excellent to each other? Because I'm getting mad.
It's like, I'll be excellent to everybody but Alex Jones.
Yeah. And also Joe Rogan. Fuck him,
Fuck
too.
that guy, too. Okay, sweet. So, be excellent to each other. And if you want to bang Mandy, head on over to Apple Podcasts.
First of all, like the bands I like, buy me drinks, and head on over to Apple Podcasts
There it
and leave
is.
me a 5-star review.
YouTube. Everything's on there. You can like and subscribe.
Mhm.
Go to Facebook.
You could even sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah.
You can give us money, and we'll give you even more drunken debauchery than we already do. Also, we have an official merch store now. We are a big-time podcast with fake sponsorships and real merch.
My sponsorships feel real to me.
So go to TeePublic. The link is in our link tree, which is on all of our social media, and check out the cool shit that we can.
And that's it. You
That's
guys,
our
thanks so
podcast.
much for hanging out. We'll see you on the next one.